Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be servicing this DX pedal. This is the M650. I've already done a video on the LX pedal, which was not serviceable because you could not remove the bolts on the cage, which meant you didn't have access to the spindle itself. I'm also going to be doing a video on the XT pedal. I am going to do a video on the XT pedal as well, although I think it's fairly similar to the DX pedal. So I'm going to open this up. We're going to inspect the ball bearings inside. You can change them and put some new ones in, although I think this one just needs some new grease. So let's begin. You're going to need a number 3 Allen key wrench to remove the 4 bolts that are holding the cage. On the DX pedal, you'll have this plastic cap that you need to remove. You're going to need a flat-headed screwdriver to properly fit in. On the side here, there's a little slot where you can put your flat-headed object and you can kind of start lifting it up, avoiding damaging the plastic cup and making it ugly. So now we've taken that off. So on the interior, you're going to have a number 8, it appears, nut to remove. So this is the first one. Unclick that. I've put this in a vise. It does make it a lot easier to work on if you've got something holding it down while you remove these nuts. To keep the spindle in place, I've put a Allen key at the bottom that slots into the hole of the actual spindle, and it seems to be holding, and that will be just so that when I undo this nut it's not going to move about. I don't have one of those special vice adapter things with the holes in it for putting the pedals. I rarely do this, so I don't really feel like buying one. So these can be quite hard to take off sometimes. This one seems to be relatively easy. Okay, so got the first nut off. Now the next one is normally a number either 11 or 12. I can't tell. My sockets aren't too thick to actually go in here, and that's kind of why you need either some very, very thin-walled sockets to fit in at the bottom here, or otherwise so I'm going to tell you in a second what size it really is. Oh, how funny. I got this tool specifically because I thought I was going to be able to work on these pedals, and the Shimano tool doesn't even fit into the actual hole here. It's just too small. So this is nearly a useless tool I've just bought. Luckily I got it for very cheap, so not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, if it's just to work on more modern pedals, I just don't see the point of this tool. So it looks like I'm going to be doing the adjustments the old classic way, which is just using a flat-headed screwdriver to turn this on and off. If you hold the spindle, you can just twirl this while holding the flat-headed screwdriver in place, where it allows you to take off this cone nut. It's bloody fallen inside. Okay, and that's the cone. For the bearings that are inside, be careful as they can easily fall out and they're going to be fairly loose. If you have a magnet of some sort, it's going to make it a lot easier to just grab them all quickly. I've got this little homemade magnet that I pretty much use just for doing this type of small little ball bearing work. And so now I've grabbed them all without falling. And same thing on the other side. Gently remove those. I can see there's some old grease there still. That's pretty incredible that grease is still there after all these years. Okay, and since the rest is made out of aluminium, this magnet won't stick on the body. It will just grab the steel balls, although they seem to be stuck. They don't seem to have any grease on this side, so that's probably why it was so rough. So I'm going to just take them all out. Okay, I think I've got the rest there. Okay, so for the parts, fairly simple. We're going to clean them all up. So for the ball bearings, I think they are... So for the ball bearings, I can't find my ruler that has the little holes in it to be able to measure them. I'll put the sizing in the link the description below. So for the cage, it's pretty ugly. I have some spare spray paint that has that hardener inside it, 1K I think it's called, 2K, and I'm gonna respray it, and we can put the little details here. It's pretty easy procedure. I mean, these are kind of ugly anyway, the way they look, so I might as well just sand it down a bit and reapply some spray paint, give it a newer look. So you can see here I'm just pretty much sanding down all the old paint and removing the rust. I have used some paint remover before, and I don't think it reacts very well with this paint. It doesn't remove it, so it's pretty much sanding it all down as maximum as possible. Since it's so thin, I think it will be okay when I'm going to spray paint anyway, so I don't need to remove everything. But you can. These are, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this pedal, because I just have one side, I don't have the other, so it's more or less a giveaway at one point to someone. So I'm going to continue this, and I'm going to spray paint it. Okay, so for the next part, if you want to have the white writing filled up, you can. This time I experimented using some model paint, which is a little bit more, a little bit more long lasting what I did last time, which was using acrylic paint. So the advantage of using acrylic paint is you can, once you've applied on top of the lettering, you can wipe off just simply using water, and it won't damage the black paint that you would have sprayed on. Now obviously acrylic paint doesn't last very long if you're going to be having this outside, even if you possibly put some clear coat. Anyway, I wanted to try this up. Now I couldn't be bothered because I'm just doing this for pretty much for the video, but if you want the writing to really stand out, if you use a needle or something to really dig into the letters, because obviously with the rust and the sanding that I've just had, the lettering isn't stamped into the metal so much, and so it's not keeping the paint when I apply to it. So with this model paint, I pretty much applied on top, and then I've used some turpentine, quickly rubbed on top of it, and obviously it starts to remove the spray paint I've just put on slightly, but you do have at least the layering, and it's obviously much better than it was before. I don't know if I can be bothered to continue with the white on here. I think this will just do for me, but you can definitely do a better job on this if you really want to. And now I'm applying a clear coat on top of the black. While I'm waiting for the cage to finish drying, I've cleaned up the spindle, and I've also sanded the bolts so they've got less rust on them now. I'm gonna put the ball bearings back on inside the body. Again, this body, if you want, you can sand down and polish it, give it a nice clean. So now we're going to put the ball bearings. They're eventually going to be around about here on the spindle, and we're going to need to put them on the interior of the body first. It's pretty much annoying to get these in. You can use some tweezers or something kind of small to fit through here and place them inside one by one. Eventually though it will work. So I'm going to begin now by doing that. If you coat the ball bearings a little bit with grease beforehand, I'm going to use a finish line to try that out on a pedal, as I've never used that. They will stick at least inside, so that way you don't lose them. They don't fall out, in other words. So there's one. So there'll be 14 in total. There's two. Okay, I've just put the last one in. I've just coated the spindle with some grease, and now I'm going to aim for the bearings. Aim not to push them out the way. I think it's in. Yeah, okay. And now we can start putting the bearings on the other side. So again, the same procedure as before. We're going to pretty much put them one by one on the interior, which is here on the inside. Right, so I finished that off. I'm now going to put some grease, and then we're going to put the cone nut, and we're going to screw it down. Since I don't have a socket that fits into the gap here, I'm going to use the flat-headed screwdriver and hold it in place. In fact, that's going to be our method anyway when we're going to be working on this later. So now we're about to put the lock nut inside. This is more or less the unfun part of the whole procedure, and this is why I bought the tool, because it's not unenjoyable. But well, using the flathead screwdriver, you can pretty much tighten it. You want it to obviously be smooth or moving, but no play on the other side. Right, so you're going to be able to grab then the lock nut, and you're pretty much going to be playing around with this until it's just right, since we can't tighten at the same time both of them. Alright, so I'm tightening, putting down the lock nut now. This one I can use a socket and tighten all the way to the bottom. And you'll find that when you tighten this up, the other one will tighten up as well. So you really do need to play around with it until you get it kind of right. Usually what I do is I loosen up the cone nut enough, and then when you tighten this one, it firmly seats down and holds everything in place. So I'm going to leave like this for now. I'm going to put the cap back on. Let's now put the cage back on as well. Right, so not fully satisfied. I'll probably do a better job on the XT if it's possible. Well, like I said, you can do a better job here on the paint. I'm not really bothered because I'm probably not going to end up using this or being even able to sell it. But it's definitely looking better than it was before. You can see now the bolts. In fact, you could probably dip these in some kind of citric acid to I think it's citric acid to get rid of the surface rust on the inside there. Do a bit more polish or whatever. But yeah, globally much more presentable, at least, than before. So I hope this helped you or guided you into servicing your DX pedals. And until the next time, peace out.